Hi, my name is Amanda Lee. I am a funeral director and a pre-arrangement specialist with Pedersen and Starbuck Funeral Homes. I invite you to watch this short clip on the benefits of pre-planning.
Welcome, and thank you for taking a few minutes to learn how you can hopefully spare your family some pain and heartache on one of the most difficult days they will ever face, the day they lose you. My goal in sharing this information is to help you better understand why planning your funeral in advance is good for you and your family. We're going to talk about the advantages of planning in advance and why so many families do this every year. And at the end of this presentation, my hope is that you will be able to make a more informed decision on what is best for you and those you love. As I mentioned, millions of Americans plan their funeral tributes in advance. And in so many ways, it's one of the most selfless things we can do for our family and our friends. And let's be honest, funerals aren't the easiest thing to talk about. Because someday, and I hope it's a very long time from now, we all will eventually die. And when your time comes, your family, on what's probably going to be one of the worst days of their lives, will very likely be planning and making your funeral or cremation arrangements at the funeral home. And the experience they have at this time can be influenced greatly by what you have done to prepare them. You see, they're going to sit down with the funeral director and answer a number of questions and make some irreversible decisions in a very short period of time. It's sometimes hard for me to explain the process that families have to go through, so I would like to take just a few minutes to do an exercise that will hopefully illustrate what I'm talking about. Now, as I said earlier, when someone dies and the family comes into the funeral home and sits down with the funeral director, he begins to ask them a number of questions, and they have to make a lot of decisions. Now, the first question he will ask is when you would like the service. Now, the topic of cremation might come up, and that's okay. People have all kinds of services when they have cremations. So he may ask you what kind of service you might like. Would you like service in our chapel? Or in a church? Maybe you would prefer a graveside service. Would you like to have a viewing? Or a visitation? Who will the minister be? Will there be any eulogies? Who will be the pallbearers? What type of music would you like? What about clothing? If glasses are worn, do you want them on or off during visitation? What about jewelry? What was your grandmother's maiden name? And if they are thinking about cremation, what would they like to do with the cremated remains? Would you like a memorial service or a traditional service? What type of casket would you like? Wood? Steel? If steel, stainless? What gauge? 18? 20? If wood, would you like oak, pine, or cherry? What about the outer burial container? Would you like a box or a vault? Would you prefer concrete or steel? Or if the final disposition is cremation, how would you like to receive the cremated remains? Would you like them in an urn? Or would you prefer they were scattered or placed in an ossuary or a columbarium? Question after question, decision after decision, all in a very short period of time. Now keep in mind, the funeral director isn't doing this to try and sell you items that you don't need. Rather, he's merely helping your family make educated decisions about how to create meaningful funerals. But they only have a very limited time to do it. And once all the information is gathered and the decisions have been made, there's one final question that, for many families, is the hardest of all to answer. How would you like to pay for this? So there's a reason why I did this way. As hard as I try, I cannot begin to give you that true picture as to just how much of a fog of grief that people are in when they make all of these irreversible decisions on one of the hardest days of their lives. And there are two ways to take care of this. One is to leave this responsibility for your loved ones and have them go through this process. Or spend just about an hour planning ahead. And then the only question that they have to answer is this. When would you like to have the service? So you can leave them with this, or you can leave them with this. And the difference between the two is advanced preparation. So let me leave you with this thought. Which one of these makes the most sense to you? And more importantly, which one would make the most sense to your family?
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or would like a free consultation, please don't hesitate to call me at 320-589-3220, or you can email me at amanda@pedersenfh.com.